Welcome to our Industrial IoT and Robotics Expert Talk, where we'll talk about Industry 4.0 topics like IoT, robotics, smart maintenance, digital twins, Azure mixed reality, and many more digital transformation key technologies. My name is René Schulte from Reply, and I work on emerging technology research and innovation. I'm also a Microsoft Regional Director and MVP. And today I'm joined by my fellow Microsoft MVP and Imagine Cup finalist, Marek Matuszewski, who works for our sister company, Cluster Reply. Marek specializes in innovative AI and robotics solutions, and today he will share the insights and some of the work he and his team have been doing with the Boston Dynamics and the infamous Spot RoboDog. Hey, Marek, how's it going?
Hi, René. Fine. Greetings from the space stations and to all our audience. Let us lift off.
Ooh, awesome, awesome. Well, also with us today, we have Justin Jackson, who's one of the founders of Valorem Reply. And you might actually remember Justin from one of his previous Ignite talks, like one about the IoT continuum and digital twins and so on. Justin specializes in helping large organizations with emerging and advanced technology such as AI, mixed reality, digital twins, and so on, and how they can integrate it into their business strategy, right? To basically get ahead of the respective markets. His current focus is on complex digital transformation projects for Reply in the US. And well, glad to have you, Justin. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Renee. I feel a little out of sorts here. We've got Baby Yoda and the space station. I apparently don't have the right space theme here in the background, but thanks for having me.
Awesome. Ready to take off. Let's go. Exactly, right? So let's dive into today's topics. Well, when we hear the term robotics, many people have certain pictures in mind of not very human-friendly robots, right? And this is mainly driven by a lot of dystopian science fiction movies. But this is, of course, not really what robotics, especially in the industrial and business scenarios, is about, right? So, Marek, can you share some insight into the current robotics industry and the market, the landscape, and how industry organizations are leveraging them today to transform the business?
Sure. I do also often hear the allusions to Terminator stories we all know about. Well, when it comes to entertainment, robotics have been around for some time, but people are often surprised to learn how advanced robotics have become in a business sense. We are actually in the middle of a robotic boom market. This boom can be contributed to two factors. First, the price for hardware is dropping. And second, we are experiencing a new era of mobile robots, AMR, autonomous mobile robots. Enterprises have already been using so-called AGVs, automated guided vehicles. However, what we realized is that those robots, they need dedicated infrastructure like, cables, physical markings, mostly defined routes, which in general all amounts to extra upfront cost, right? And this is why AMRs, autonomous mobile robots, are rising in popularity. They move freely, they use their own navigation, they have collision avoidance systems, they ultimately reduce upfront infrastructure costs when compared to robotics of the past. And a very simple example of an AMR you can find in many households worldwide is actually this what you have in your house. I mean, the modern robotic vacuum cleaner with the LiDAR sensors. I believe you guys already have one or are going to have it in a very near future. Who knows?
Maybe. But in essence, like you can put it, basically mobile robots are actually kind of IoT edge devices on the move, right? And they can go to places where no human can go without harming themselves, which is pretty exciting, which might include cleaning the house, right? Who knows? But I have like more hazardous environments in mind. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, exactly. The second part is more important for enterprises. Exactly same concept applies in this industrial robotic settings with the added benefit that these mobile robots can go where humans can't or maybe shouldn't go without harming themselves. It's a bit of mind bender to consider that it is more human to bring a robot into dangerous areas than the human itself. And this evolution to mobile robots outfitted with IoT sensors such as thermal vision cameras, gas sensors, thermometers, etc., and enhanced with AI for object or animal detection and they're having the biggest impact in hazardous or remote industrial environments. There are a lot of use cases for inspection purposes in the industries like, for example, oil and gas, right? Another example is wind turbine monitoring using drones and AI models. Well, basically, our Reply data scientists, they work with our customer E.ON. This is one of the biggest Germany's energy companies to train, and they were working to train machine learning models that will support and improve the monitoring of wind turbines, at the end, decreasing the downtimes.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Like using drones that are trained with AI models, fly up, check the wind turbines of E.ON, and fixing all of those, or like going into the ground, like into mines, right? Where you have a mine and there might be an accident where some poisonous gas is leaking, or things like that, right? I know Reply has done a lot of work with industrial IoT space, working with many kinds of robot solutions, but also very various IoT solutions to overcome everyday efficiency, productivity, and these safety challenges, right? So Justin, can you tell us about some of the work we have done there and the impact we achieved for the clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Renee. Reply's been working in the IoT space for some time. We started off doing a lot in the connected vehicle space, doing some work with CNH Industrial, working on being able to capture sensor data off of the vehicles and be able to do fleet management, be able to do scheduled maintenance, things like that. Recently, we've been operating a lot more in the actual IoT, robotics space. So not just being able to capture sensor data back, but actually be able to do some command and control of those machines as well. We've got a big robotics customer that works in the automotive space, where they actually are taking data for maintenance schedules, things like that, and actually marrying that up with the IoT data to be able to do things like predictive maintenance off of AI models, things along those lines. So it's really exciting to kind of see that linear progression from simply being able to take straight vehicle data or more traditional industrial IoT data, and be able to actually start mapping that over into predictive analytics and being able to see how that can aid people in being able to make smarter business decisions off the assembly line.
Yeah. Well, these are some great examples, and I know there's a lot of business value actually being gained with these digital transformation projects, right? Let's go back to mobile robotics for a minute. Marek, I know Reply is part of Boston Dynamics early adopter program, and we are one of the first companies actually that are being able to leverage Spot in real use cases, right? But can you tell us a little bit about our relationship there with Boston Dynamics, and yeah, tell us something about it?
Sure, absolutely. Well, basically, we joined the early adopter program from Boston Dynamics in the beginning of 2020, and actually, after a couple months, we were officially announced as the Boston Dynamics partner. There are different types of partnerships with Boston Dynamics, like, for example, in payload or hardware area, and Reply is a worldwide partner when it comes to integration with custom solutions, existing architectures, artificial intelligence capabilities, or the integration with cloud platforms and cloud services. And currently we have Spot units in Germany and Italy, and I'm sure there are more to come.
Yes, I can imagine. Little hint here, huh? All right. And I just saw Boston Dynamics launched a new robotic arm API, which allows to use the arm that you can mount on the back of Spot, basically, that you can control it from your own custom solutions, right? Which is pretty exciting. And I saw some really sophisticated tasks it can do, like grabbing and opening a door or picking up objects and maybe, cleaning up outdoors. But I guess like actually my kids could probably need some help in these lockdown days with tidying up their rooms. So bring the Spot to our house, Marek. But anyway, what are some of the real business scenarios we are seeing while we are actually applying Spot in all its capabilities? And can you share some of the work Reply is doing in that field?
Yeah, sure. We are currently working with multiple customers who are leveraging Spot for some really interesting things. For example, there's a client we are working with now alongside with Microsoft. The customer is ECE. They basically manage over 200 shopping centers in Europe, roughly 20,000 shops, 7 million square meters of shopping place. And together with the head of facility management, Christian Schlicht, and his team, we defined a multi-application approach where the Spot is performing multiple tasks at their shopping centers throughout the week. So firstly, the Spot is doing predictive maintenance, monitoring for damage detection on the parking lots. Secondly, the Spot monitors the property for dangerous incidents like water leaks, fire, or signs of a break-in. And thirdly, the Spot enables digital twin technology because the Spot it's basically serves the shopping center and scans the whole building during the week to provide an updated digital BIM. It's a building information model to the facilities managers on a, and this is the clue, on a weekly basis, for maintenance and monitoring from remote. Before, similar process was made in an expensive way, very time consuming, and could be done only on a yearly basis. And now you have your digital twin almost in real time of your whole facility.
Well, that's really amazing. And I mean, if we think about it with Spot sensor capabilities, it's kind of a walking spatial computing device as well, and kind of a walking LiDAR depth 3D scanner, right? Which is, like you're saying, super amazing if you can update your digital twin 3D data very regularly just by having this dog, robo dog, walking through your facilities. Well, that's really amazing. I know Valorum has done quite a bit of work with digital twin technologies, allowing clients to leverage mixed reality, AI, and IoT, and bring that all together in order to optimize their resources, extend the life of machinery, and predictive maintenance that you already mentioned. So, but Justin, can you do a quick refresh for those that maybe didn't catch your previous session about IoT and digital twins? And can you tell us what is actually digital twin and can share some examples?
Yeah, thanks, Renee. Valorum's been working in the digital twin space for quite some time. And if you missed my talk at a previous Ignite on digital twins, a quick recap is digital twin, as the name implies, is really taking a physical object that exists in the physical world and being able to create a 3D replica in the virtual space, whether that's mixed reality, virtual reality, or what have you. Valorum's been working in the mixed reality space for some time, and we saw very early on that the work we were doing within IoT, where we were tracking, sensor data and simply displaying it on gauges, had a much more compelling and rich way that we could visualize that information. And by taking those digital twins, that 3D replica, and taking that sensor data from the physical world and being able to overlay on top of those models, actually presented a really compelling way for someone to be able to see what was going on in that space. Oftentimes with these digital twins, it's difficult for someone to get to that location, whether it being a hazardous location and so not safe for people to travel to, or geographical problems. Think, facilities where some individual is managing a fairly big geography. And having those digital twins and being able to see what's going on, whether it be the temperature, whether it be water sensors, whether it be humidity, whether it be pressure, getting information back and being able to overlay that on the digital twin is really compelling. One of the challenges that we've always seen with customers adopting this technology is that it can oftentimes be very time consuming to create those 3D models. Early on when we first started working on this approach, you had to rely on the customer already having a 3D model, maybe a CAD drawing or something like that of the object. But as anyone that's been in construction will tell you, oftentimes the initial drawing to the finished product, there was drift there. They weren't exactly the same. And so it became an ongoing maintenance task to try and update those models based on what was, in effect in the real world. If you fast forward to today, the work that we can do with photogrammetry, with LiDAR sensors, being able to go in and actually scan a physical object and create a 3D model after the fact off of that object is incredibly powerful and enables us to really streamline the process for creating these digital twins. Being able to go in and use things like drones or the Spot robot, as Marek was talking about earlier, introduces additional capabilities of being able to quickly scan and update these 3D models in locations that oftentimes would be very challenging to get to, whether because of geography or because of safety. The environment just was not conducive to be able to get those updates. So I'm really excited to see, with the introduction of Spot and with some of the work being done in the drone space, how quickly we can accelerate this digital twin concept for businesses.
Awesome. And speaking of immersive digital twins with mixed reality and the HoloLens, Marek, I can imagine mobile robots could also benefit from that as well. Like, for example, you put on the HoloLens or not a virtual reality or augmented reality device, and then you get the kind of a first-person view of the spot robot, right? Um,
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Those devices are really good examples how you can really utilize the telepresence and the teleoperation to amplify human abilities, purposes with a really great immersive experience. And as you mentioned, having HoloLens on your head, right? You can basically steer the robot with your hand gestures or interact with the special labels set by the robot or its operator, right? In that moment, it is actually worth to mention the latest results from the Microsoft Mixed Reality and the iLab group. Um, Basically, using Azure Spatial Anchors, you can improve the ROS navigation maps for autonomous missions. To bring this into the perspective of the robot like Spot from Boston Dynamics, you wouldn't be you would probably be able to eliminate the need for fiducials. These are kind of QR codes for spot cams for orientation, right?
That's actually really exciting when we think about it. It means we have this common co-localization computer vision map that can be shared between different devices, right? Like my mobile phone and my HoloLens, and then we could have Spot, and they all share the same common reference map, right? Which is one of the most relevant topics for spatial computing, where we have even these smartphone devices, but even more so the HoloLens, right? With their sophisticated sensors and AI capabilities that can sense the world around us, right? They understand, okay, there's a surface plane and all of that. And the glue between it, like how they can see each other in the same content, is the augmented reality cloud with services like Azure Spatial Anchors that you just mentioned, right? Where you put these anchors in the world, can attach virtual content, and all these devices can see it together. And now we bring in mobile robots as well. Well, the mobile robot can see something, but even more important, you can use these waypoints, basically, these spatial anchors as waypoints for navigation. So you can set a route with your mobile or with your HoloLens, and then the robot will follow it. And that's awesome. I mean, also think about 5G scenarios, right? Fast, low latency, networking, and so on. And then all of that is, of course, a lot of driven by the edge cloud, right? And industrial scenarios combined with mixed reality, spatial computing, they really provide tremendous opportunities, right? And another trend I hear, which is leveraging all of that, is called smart maintenance, right? In particular for resilient supply chains and agile factories and so on. So Justin, can you tell us a little bit more about smart maintenance and what Reply is doing in
Right.
this
I
area?
mentioned a little bit earlier, on the smart maintenance front, as you start getting the sensor data and you're working in industrial IoT, you can start to look for patterns. You can look for things that would actually indicate that you might have a device failure or something along those lines. In the industrial space, oftentimes taking an assembly line down for unexpected maintenance could result in millions of dollars of lost productivity. So being able to catch that maintenance early and having that predictive maintenance is really imperative. Reply really saw kind of early on with the work that we've been doing in mixed reality, the work we've been doing with sensors, et cetera, opportunity to bring all of that together. And so we've got a solution that we've built around smart maintenance that actually couples heads up display. So think a wearable like a HoloLens, where you could go in and in a hands-free environment be able to approach a unit that might need fixing. So imagine maybe like a pump control unit, a lot of complex parts, things that could wear out over time, and be able to go in and actually analyze that, get data, find out where we have potential for replacement, and actually be given a step-by-step walkthrough heads up in the HoloLens to be able to understand what needs to be done, all the way from identifying the tools that you might need to use. So identifying, hey, use this wrench first, take this component off, pull this component off, but also bringing in, more traditional two-dimensional things. So take, a PDF maybe that's a parts diagram, and being able to actually identify each of those individual parts, in kind of that exploded view right alongside the actual physical object, and give you that step-by-step walkthrough of how to go work on this. Ultimately, this enables companies to be able to more rapidly train their workforce by providing that real-time guidance, giving them kind of that phone a friend, if you will, being able to go in and see that detail instead of having to rely on, classroom training on how to do that maintenance and ability. So when you bring all of that together and take, all the way from the beginning side of early, anomaly detection, sensor data, et cetera, in the industrial IoT space, all the way out through actually walking someone through how to do the work to do the actual, maintenance and replacement, it really gives you kind of that full end-to-end solution. So we're really excited to bring, that smart maintenance capability to market through Reply.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And we could talk for many more hours, in fact. But unfortunately, we're already at the end of our session here. Thank you so much, Marek and Justin, for sharing your experts' insights today. That was very much appreciated. And we didn't crash the space station, right?
Yeah, I'm just moving around to the next session with my joystick. And guys, thank you very much for having me. Justin, Rena, really great time with you guys. And yeah, it's a great time to live, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. And thanks everyone for joining us for our industrial IoT and robotics expert talk, where we learn about all these amazing things you can do with IoT, robotics, smart maintenance, Azure mixed reality, AI, and actually the even bigger value they are creating when you combine all of those, right? When you bring them all together. If you have any questions or want to learn more, please engage with us. You can visit our Reply Ignite Partner Showcase page. You can also watch our blog, follow our social media channels to stay updated about all the amazing work we're doing in the IoT, robotics, and many more spaces. Thank you and see you soon. Bye-bye.